Well, hello, welcome to Tablescapes and Decor, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to you. I hope that you had a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, and the 2026 is starting off just the way you wanted it to. Now, for this very first video for this year, I wanted to bring you along as I do this major overhaul and reset of my living room. Now, I do have some other reset projects planned, but I wanted to start the year off with this room because it has been a problem and I am finally ready to tackle it. So now the first thing I had to do was take down all of the Christmas decorations. Now, I started this makeover on December 28th. So 3 days after Christmas, I had to jump in here and start taking down all of the decorations, removing the decor and prepping the room for painting. So of course, the first thing I did was take down the tree. And then after that, I started removing, the rest of the decorations. Now, some of the decor and furniture will be coming back into the room and some of it won't. And some of it I'm going to update a little bit, and then some of it I'm going to replace, but you'll see that as I move along. Well, while you're watching me take down the tree, I want to tell you just a little bit about the backstory of this living room and this paint color and the fact that I absolutely hate it. So if you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching, you won't know this story. But first of all, I want to say again, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on the channel. I hope that you'll see something you like and you'll decide to subscribe. But if you've been following me on this channel or my DIY Design by CCW channel, I'd like to say welcome to you as well. But you probably have heard this story. However, when I say it was 2017 or 2018, I think, I found this house and it was a complete fixer-upper. It had been abandoned and I knew that I wanted it, right? I knew that I could bring it back to life and save it. And I think if I hadn't purchased it, it probably was going to be torn down. But let me tell you, it was a lot of work, still needs work, but it's come a long way. But one thing that was a challenge was this living room. Now, it's awkward, first of all. It's, not that big, but it's also, the layout is kind of awkward. And, I had to determine, just what color I wanted to paint it and how I wanted to place things. And over the years, the room has just gotten a little bit too cluttered. Part of that is because I have a DIY channel, as I mentioned, DIY Design by CCW. I make DIYs over there. And sometimes I like to display those DIYs here in my living room or in other areas of the house. And again, I had too many, I brought in too many different things. Also, this paint, I never really liked it. So I purchased the paint intending to get like a light gray, something neutral. And I bought this paint. It was called Blue Gray Sky. I should have known better. I mean, the blue gray sky should have given me a hint. But again, I thought it was lighter. And once I started painting with it, I realized how dark it was. But you know what? At that point, I was just trying to get things finished so that we can get moved into the house. So I just decided to make it work. But I've never liked the color. So here I am all these years later, and I finally decided to take this job on and to go ahead and repaint this room. So the first thing I had to do, again, like I said, was take down all the holiday decor. And then I started removing the decor items. I had to take down the curtains. You're going to see that I had to do some patchwork on the walls and things like that, just to get everything ready to paint. Now, so I took down the drapes. I ended up putting these back up. I'm not going to replace these just yet, but also you can see here I had to remove things like these butterflies that I put up. This was a mistake. Don't put these on your wall. I put them up and did a little damage taking them down, so I'll have to repair that damage. There's some other areas that need to be patched. Again, This original paint job was done in 2018, so it was due for a paint job, even if I did like the color, but it is what it is. So here you see me just kind of, taping some things up and getting everything ready. I'll do my patchwork. I'm going to remove all the nails, as you can see, and patch up all the nail holes I can find. And then for the larger items, I'm going to clean this rug here and then roll it up. And then for the larger pieces, the couch, the chair, things like that, I'm just going to put them in the center of the room and cover them with plastic and then work around them. And then that way I can go ahead and get started. So I think this is, at this point, I've got everything pretty much ready and prepped. And I do have to still do a little bit of patchwork, but I am ready at this point to get started with painting. Okay, so finally I have everything covered up and I am ready to get started. Now, I'm not worried so much about those end tables, although I will end up covering those with plastic too, because I am going to do some work to refurbish them. And I do still have a little bit of patchwork on the walls, but I'm going to go ahead and start on the ceilings. So the ceilings probably took the longest, I would say, out of any of this, because the paint that I'm using, I'm going over the original paint with another ceiling paint, but this paint is a bright white, and the paint that was there was sort of like an off-white. And it was kind of hard sometimes to see where I had maybe missed a spot, because really I needed the paint to dry. If you've ever worked with a ceiling white, then you'll probably know what I mean. You probably know what I mean. But it was a little bit difficult to see exactly, if I had missed a spot. So I had to go over it a couple of times, and basically what I did is just work section by section and take my time. And of course, since I was working over my head using this, the roller extension hole, rather than going up and down the ladder, that's a lot on the arms. But you know what? I stuck with it and just kept going and got it done. And in the end, I think it turned out really great. Now, another challenge, I didn't really show it on camera, but I'm also going to have to paint the stairway that goes up to the second floor. I don't show that floor very much on camera, but there's a TV room up there, a guest room, another bedroom, and a hallway. And but the hallway going up, the ceiling is a little steep, so that was a little awkward, but I did get it done. And again, I kept at it. I think this part probably took a couple of days because again, I had to let the paint dry and come back and go over it again. But in the end, I like how it turned out. Now you're going to see as I get a little further in the process that there's a little thing that I do to kind of make sure that I have a nice clean edge between straight edge between the wall and the ceiling, since I'm going with a different color for the walls. But in the end, it worked out. So here I am just doing a little more prep work. Now, first I have to get these butterflies off the wall. I had these also in the stairway area. Again, I don't recommend doing anything like this, because getting them off, I did little damage to the wall that I was able to repair, but again, I think it's a little bit too busy, not something that I needed. But if this is your style, that's great. But I think for me, moving forward, I don't think I'm gonna put anything like this on the wall, although I did like it when I first did it. And these are just inexpensive mirrors that you can buy. I think I bought these at Walmart. But the mistake I made was I glued them on to make sure they didn't come down, and I didn't think about what it would be like to take them off in order to paint. So again, I did get them down. I was able to patch up the damage, and it looks good now, but again, wouldn't recommend it if you're thinking about adding this, unless you're positive that you're not going to want to change your paint color. So I had to continue with the patchwork. This side of the room, I had to patch up some nail holes and, some other things. And definitely had to patch up where I had the butterflies on this side as well. You're also going to notice in a little bit that I had to do some patchwork on the little nook area of the room. And because there was a tiny little hairline crack in the drywall on that side and in the plaster, so I had to kind of patch that. But then once I got all of that done, and this is the area here, this wall used to be, there was a window in this area, in this wall, and I had thought about opening it again. It was done before I purchased the house. They closed this up, and the reason I was going to open it was just to let more light into the room, because I think the room would look a little bigger with light. But I also thought about the security, and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it like it is, leave it closed off. And but I had to do a little patchwork here. Now what's nice is this side of the room was done with a texture. They drywalled it, and then they put plaster and they did a texture. So what's nice about it is, again, when you're doing this kind of patchwork, you can't really see it. It blends in really well. So once I painted, I let this dry. I didn't really have to do any sanding. The other patches that I did have to come back and do some sanding to get those areas ready for painting. Okay, so I'm finally starting with the paint work, and I again chose this color that I really, really like. It's a grage, and it's made by Behr. The color is called Wheat Bread. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Again, it depends on your lighting. If you go with a soft light on the Kelvin scale, like 2700 to 3000, something like that, it's going to appear more of a tan or taupe color. If you go with a daylight light, something really bright, it's going to look more of a gray color, but it's absolutely beautiful. I decided I'm going to go with a soft color or soft white and pull more of the taupe or the tan out of it. But again, that's the beauty of grage, is you can make it work for your, space, whatever you want. But it's really neutral. It really brightened up the space a lot. I mean, it's night and day. So really happy with how everything turned out. But here I'm just going to be rolling and painting for a while. Now you'll notice that I haven't cut in yet, because I typically cut in as I paint. That's just my way of doing it. Everybody has their own method, but I like to cut in as I go along. Now, of course, I do come back and tape off when I'm doing the trim and things like that. So again, I'm just gonna stop talking, let you watch me work as I try to get at least this part of the room painted. Okay, so after painting that section, I decided to move over by the front door, the closet area, and just kind of paint that. Of course, as you remember, I had to do the patchwork here, and I had to make sure everything was dry, and I did have to do some sanding. I am going to come back and paint the door, and both doors, rather, the closet door and the front door. And again, I went with a beautiful ultra white, and I went with a high gloss, which is something I don't typically do, but I do like how it turned out. Again, the walls, I'm using an eggshell. The ceiling is a flat ceiling white, and then the trim, I went with the bright white or the ultra white in a high gloss. So now I'm working here in this corner of the room, and this wall, this with the faux brick finish, that's the second hardest thing, or the thing that took the most time, I'll say, out of painting. Now, of course, walls take time, but to me, they're not that hard. I mean, you're painting, you're rolling. I cut in as I go, a little bit of up and down the ladder, but overall not too bad. But this wall, because of the faux brick, it takes a little bit. So I remember it being a challenge when I painted it when we first moved into the house, or before we moved in. It was like half red and some other weird color, and to get it to a uniform color took a little bit of work. Now, since then, I think I've perfected the technique a little bit. So here I did a combination of using a brush to cut in and a roller. It still took a little time and a little bit of paint. So I was glad I had extra paint, because this wall soaked up quite a bit. Because as soon as I would think that I'd gotten everything painted, I would see a space that I missed, but eventually I stuck with it and I was able to get it done. Now, I had thought about doing something different over here, either taking the brick down or doing some sort of other accent wall or color, but in the end, I'm glad that I just kept the same color, and that I painted it, and I don't mind the bricks either now that they're painted. So again, I'll just kind of keep going here, and you'll see me working on the brickwork here in a little bit, and then I'll move on to the hallway. Okay, so I am finally getting to the last part of this wall. Again, like I said, it was really challenging because I would paint a section and think that I had fully covered everything, and then I'd step away or take a break and come back, and I'd see an area that I missed. So, in fact, there's a little bit of that behind me here as I'm painting, but I did end up seeing it and getting it all. And at some point, I was actually done with this wall. Then again, once I finished this wall, I moved on to the hallway. Now, I don't show the entire process of doing the hall because it was just a little awkward to film, but I'll show you how I started it at the bottom and then I worked my way up. Also, another thing that I didn't film was when I took the blinds down. So I did have to take the blind down in the living room. I cleaned it and of course painted around the trim and did all of that and then put the blind back up. But I did it actually earlier in the day. So I think by the time you see the part you're watching now, I had already painted, taken the blind down, painted and cleaned it and put the blind back up. So now, as you can see, I'm moving over to this hallway area. Just kind of doing a little cut in here and then just work my way up the stairs. Finally, that little area that I had to patch by the light switch had finally dried and I was able to sand that. And here I'm just gonna keep working until I get it done. And then once I'm done with the hallway, I'm gonna come back and start working on the trim. Okay, so finally, I have finished all of the walls, and now I'm going to work on the trim. Also, while I'm working on the trim and painting the doors and all of that, I'll be touching up the ceiling, rather the tops of the walls, just making sure that I have a nice clean edge or line between the ceiling and the walls. And you'll see here in a little bit how I do that. But first, I'm getting this door taped off so that I can start painting the trim. You'll see that I also taped off. I didn't take the hardware off the doors. Instead, I just taped everything off so that the paint, I wouldn't get paint on the doorknobs and the locks, things like that. And again, as I mentioned, I did go with a bright white or ultra white and a high gloss. It's the first time I really used a high gloss paint, and I, was not sure about it, but so I bought a small quart and to see if it would work, and I ended up going back and buying a second quart. I really like it, and I think when I move on, I think the next room I'm gonna paint is my office, and I'm gonna do the same thing in my office as well. So here, like I said, I'm just working on the trim, and that gloss white against the eggshell, it just really was a nice, gave it a nice pop, and I really do like how it turned out. Also, this closet, gets some use, and it will make it easier to wipe things down and things like that, or to wipe off, any fingerprints or anything like that that might be on the door. So once I get finished painting this part, then I'll show you, or you'll see what I do to clean up the edges of the wall, between the wall and the ceiling, as I mentioned, and then the painting will be done. It'll be time to move on to the floors. Okay, so at this point, I have painted all of the trim all around the room. I didn't film all of it, but I did, and it looks great. Now, the last thing I need to do, there are some areas, like I said, between the wall and the ceiling that need work. Now, especially in this area by the door, it was a little bit awkward getting over here with the roller. So there's some areas where I didn't even get close to the wall, or maybe when I was painting the wall, I got a little paint up on the ceiling. So what I like to do is one of the last things I do is walk around the room and see if there's any areas like that that I need to touch up. So that's what you see me doing. And so the way I do that is I tape off, and at this point I've let the paint dry overnight, so I know that I'm not going to mess up the walls at all. And then here, and I like to use a wider tape just to make sure I don't get any paint on the walls. And then with a small roller, I just go around and cut in with the flat white paint or ceiling paint. Here you see me kind of mixing things up because I'm also touching up the top of the door frame there. But again, this is what I'll do. So it doesn't have to be done all over the room, but anywhere that I see where there's a little bit of an imperfection, or where maybe I had a little mistake and I got a little paint from the wall on the ceiling, this is what I do. And I'll go around and touch everything up. And here I'm just making sure that I also get the top of the door frame and touching that up. There were a few places that I missed. And once I do that, I'll be done with the painting once I'm done with this part, and I can move on to the floors. Okay, finally, the painting is done. The hallway is done. all of the trim is done. The ceiling is done. That looks great. If you can see, I have a nice clean edge between the ceiling and the walls. Everything looks great. I love this color. This color is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, depending on your lighting, it may look a little bit different, but it's perfect for what I wanted, and it definitely changed the look of this room. All right, so now it's time to tackle these floors. So the floors, now this house, there's some hardwood in this house, but it's not in the best of shape. When I originally moved in, I did some sanding in this living room and I painted the floors, but I've painted them a couple of different times, and I didn't really stain them. I painted them. Well, actually, I stained them and then I painted them. And, it's kind of blotchy. Everything's uneven. They just needed to be redone. So I wanted to do something a little more affordable, and I wasn't ready to replace all the flooring on the first floor. So I did do some peel and stick work or flooring in the dining room, the kitchen, the hall, also my office, and the primary bedroom that's also on this floor. So I decided to go ahead and do the same thing in the living room and just keep everything flowing the same. Now, again, is peel and stick ideal? No, but this flooring looks good, I think. And it's going to work, it's going to work. It's going to bring everything together. Now, at some point, I'll probably lay hardwood or something over these, just do the real deal. But for now, I think this flooring works. Now, you're going to see that I'm putting some additional adhesive on it. That's a little trick that I do when I do this type of peel and stick flooring. It really works. You don't have to do it, but keeps everything locked in. You don't have anything lifting up, and it works well. So again, when you're doing this, you want to make sure you stagger the seams, which is what I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep working. I started at one end of the room, and I'm just going to work my way across. And what's nice is, when I got finished, I had the same look, was uniform, the same flooring rather on the entire first floor. It looks very uniform, and I probably will replace it someday, but I don't have to do it anytime soon because I think it does look good. Again, everybody's taste is different, but this works for me. And it does go with the walls, and it kind of pulls everything together. So again, you see me here just working my way around the room. I'm working around the furniture that's in the room. So I just basically did the sections that I could get to, then pushed the furniture back and worked my way across, the room until I had everything done. And I do really like it, like I said, how it turns out. Also, I didn't show it in this video, but you see that I had some cords there that have always been a mess because the way our modem is and the way the internet is, that hookup is in the living room. I never liked it there, but that's where it is. And there's some cords and things that have always been a problem there. So I did take care of those as well. Got those cleaned up. Everything looks really neat. And I really like how that turned out. So again, this was a little work, trying to get everything. And there was a couple sections where I had to do some cutting and measuring. But in the end, I got it to look right. Now, ideally, if you're doing this, you would want to take the half round off at the bottom, the around the edge of the trim. But knowing that I will replace this floor someday, I just didn't do that. But I did a really good job of making it look even, and I do like how it turned out. Now, if I replace the floor again, or if I do go ahead and put the hardwoods on this floor, then I would take the trim off and put it down that way. So again, there you see me just kind of working my way around. And there's a couple of times where I had to lift a piece because maybe it didn't line up quite right, but eventually I got it and it looks good. I like how it turned out. So If you want to make over your floors and you want to spend a little bit less money, I would definitely recommend that you try this method. Okay, the floors are done, finally. And I put the big pieces in place, the chair, the couch. I was able to put the rug down. Again, here's another look at the walls. I really like how they turned out. And also, we brought up the TV console, or what will be the TV console. Now, this piece of furniture I picked up on clearance from Home Goods, and I actually bought it before Christmas, long before Christmas, but I had it stored in the basement, because I knew that I was going to do this makeover, and it's going to look a little different here. It'll be a place for me to store things, and I won't have so much clutter. Here you can see I have put the blind up on the door. I have the blinds back up, or I think I had already had them up on the window. Now I've removed the end tables because I took them downstairs and painted them. So you're going to see them in a little bit, but here's how all the paint looks in the corner, the flooring. Again, I'm really happy with this. It was a lot of work. And I certainly could have gotten help, but I like to do things myself. And I really do like how the ceiling and paint, how that looks. The ceiling and the walls, again, nice look there. The trim, everything turned out great. So the first thing I need to do here is to go ahead and put back the light switch covers. Now on this side, I went with the matte gold light switch covers, and you'll see in a little bit that I chose a different color by the door, only because I couldn't find that one in matte gold. I didn't want a mirrored gold. I wanted a specific, it had to be a matte gold. So again, I like how they look, and I think that going with the gold accents is really going to make everything pop in the room. So now I'm going to move on here and clean up the TV console so we can bring the TV in and set that up. Again, this will give me a place to store things, hide away some of the things that, like the cords and things like that. And I got it on clearance. Really, all it needed was a good cleanup, and it worked perfectly for what I needed. It was the right size for the TV. I did upgrade and buy a new TV for the holidays as well. Or it was actually a gift to myself for the holidays. But yeah, so I think it's going to work and look better than the TV stand that I had, where you could see everything. It just always looked like a lot of clutter. So once I get this cleaned up, then I'll start doing some decorating, and we'll move on from there. Okay, step one, I'm putting the curtains back up. Now, I didn't buy any new curtains. I just took everything down and washed them up, but I probably will buy some curtains at some point. But for now, these will work for the door. Again, using a magnetic rod. That's a steel door. The blind is a magnetic blind as well. And then again, for the window curtains, I'm putting the same shears up that I had before, and the same curtains. Just took everything down and washed them up. You may notice that I did not take down the curtain brackets. I just kind of painted around them, but you cannot tell that I did that. If you looked close, I did it so that you couldn't tell. I just really didn't want to take them down. They were difficult to put up, and I decided to leave them. So here, where I had the butterflies in the mirrored light switch, I'm just adding this cream light switch. Now, you didn't see it, but I also put some insulation behind that light switch as well. Now I put the same vase back in the other corner. Here I'm just bringing back up my throws and pillows. Again, I'll probably update these at some point, but for now I'm going to work with them, and I think they're just fine. Now over here in this area, I had two of these bar carts. I had a silver one and a gold one. I decided to keep the gold one. I'll probably give the silver one away or donate it or put it in another room. I'm not sure. But for now, I'm only bringing back the gold one because it's smaller. It was the right color. I'm going with gold accents, and it takes up a little less space, in this area here where there's a lot of traffic as we try to go back and forth up the stairs. Here, I'm just putting back all the pieces that I had. Now there you see the bottom of the table. That's the same sofa table. I just spray painted it. It was silver. Actually, that's a thrifted piece that I've had for a while. It's been painted more than once, but I think gold, it looks better gold than it did any other color. And I'm just putting the glass back there. And then the piece that I have on the wall, I just repurposed that from the other side of the room. But again, I do like how the gold turned out. Now, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear in the comments. Do you like the gold? Do you think it goes with the paint color? Again, I've been going back and forth between silver and gold for years, but I think I'm obviously now pretty set on gold as my accent color. And I really do like how it turned out. Now, I will eventually replace the lamps too, but for now, I'm going to keep them until I find just what I want. So again, just like that table, these end tables and the coffee table, they are thrifted as well. So they've been made over a couple of times. I can't remember what color they were when I bought them, but I painted them. I think I painted them silver, and now I've painted them gold and freshened them up a bit, and they look like new. And they work for me. But I'm not going to put as much decor on the tables as I had before. Again, I'm really trying to lighten up a little bit on the clutter, but this is how it looks, and I'm really happy with it. Now, also, this mirror is a mirror that I thrifted some time ago, and it's been painted a couple times. I want to say it may have been black when I bought it. I can't remember, but it's been painted brown and silver. Now I painted it gold, and I love it. The gold is my favorite so far. I think it fits perfectly in this corner, and then this is how the corner looks as you head up to the second floor. Overall, I think that looks really good. Here, I'm going to add these little candle holders. Again, these are thrifted as well, and I painted them before, but now I've painted them gold, and I think they work. So now, as far as the sofa table here, I'm just adding my buffet lamps. I've got a vase there, some pops of greenery, and then another vase that I bought some time ago at Home Goods in the corner. And that's it for this wall. I mean, this is where the TV was, and it was always a little crowded over here. And I really like how that turned out. I do end up adding my family pictures there. For now, I may do something different with the pictures, but I did put the family pictures there a little later on, you'll see. Now, in this little area, I've always used this as like a little reading nook. And I wasn't sure whether I was going to put that rug back there again, but I did put it back. And I'm moving the chair over closer to the wall. And then I'll put the hasset back. The chair used to sit over a little bit. And then for the wall, I'm only going to use one piece of artwork here. And I'm repurposing the picture that I had over the sofa table before. And that's all I'm going to put there. And like I said, I cleaned up those cords there in the back and made that all look a lot neater. And here I'm bringing the other end table in. And then I'm just going to put another little plant here, another little pop of greenery to fill that corner also. And overall, I really like how this turned out. Again, I think it's just right. And the corner is, like I said, it's a nice corner to sit and read or watch TV or whatever it is that you want to do. And there you see, I'm just going to add back in the throw and the pillow and the other basket there. And eventually I'll bring the footstool back over. And then I'm hanging the same little candle holder on the other side. Now, this is the coffee table. Again, this is thrifted as well. And I did make it over and paint it. And I do like how it turned out. Now, I've scaled back the decor on this table a little bit. I had a lot more on it. And I do end up adding a mirror underneath the larger vase. But that's really it. I tried to keep that scaled back. And here's a look. There you can see the mirror on the coffee table. There's the TV all set up. This is how the room looks now. And there's another angle as you come in and you look towards the stairs that go up to the second floor. But you know what? I love how this turned out. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. It was a lot of work, but for me, it was worth it. I finally like my living room. Now, this is how it looks again, just another view. As you pan around the room, this is what it looks like right near the door. I used to have a lot of other things sitting there, but now I just have that plant on the stand. But again, I really like it. I love how it turned out, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. Do you like it? Do you think it was worth all the work and time? Would you do something like this in your house? Do you like the colors? What do you think? Love to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you have stayed with the video to this point, I truly, truly appreciate that. Can't thank you enough for your support. If you like the video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I hope that you'll decide to do that. Now, I am working hard on another video for you. I also have a DIY that will be going up very soon on the DIY channel. So again, if you follow me over there, I hope that you'll come and watch that video. But again, I've just really enjoyed doing this one for you. A lot of work, but I really like how it turned out. Love to hear what you think. Now, like I say, guys, at the end of every video, I can't wait to see each and every one of you in the next video. Have a wonderful, wonderful 2026, and I'll be seeing you again soon. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day or a wonderful night. Bye-bye.